I'll now call back to order the regular meeting of the Lake Forest Community High School Board of Education meeting for June 11th, 2018. May I have a roll call, please?
Mr. Mormon?
Here.
Ms. Davis?
Here.
Mr. Markison?
Here.
Dr. Elliott?
Here.
Dr. Nemekis?
Here.
Mr. Lane?
Here.
Did I call Ms. Davis?
Did you call Sally? Did you call your name? Yep.
Sorry. And Mrs. Kryling sends her regrets that she's not here this evening. We do have a quorum.
Thank you. Very briefly, my president's report, I'll just talk about graduation. It's my fifth graduation that I've attended since I've been a community member. It is by far the nicest thing that happens in this community, I believe. Just seeing the sea of blue on the lawn, seeing our confident kids get humbled as they walk across the stage, and a couple of takeaways from Mike and Shayla's comments that I'd just like to repeat that I think bears repeating. We are a small school with big school programs. Our teachers get to know our kids, our staff gets to know our kids, which you don't often get in a quality high school of this size in this community. And then a line that I'm going to write down and steal from Shayla. To sing in harmony, we must be able to hear other voices. To sing, just remember that. I mean, I think if that gets communicated to our kids in their 4 years and they take that away, I think you've done your job. To sing in harmony, we must be able to hear other voices. So I'm going to remember that, and I'm going to steal it, and I'm going to repeat it, and credit you any chance I get. So that was it. Mike?
Thank you, Mr. Markson. I will hand off to Dr. Holland. I think we're all good. We're going to do a lot of graduation talk today, which is great. Go ahead.
I know Mike is going to talk about the specifics of graduation, and while and he'll share a lot of thank yous to the school community, I want to specifically just say thank you to the board. You've been behind some of the shifts in our district that our students spoke about during the ceremony, and having your backing and support as we truly make the school a place where all students are intellectually challenged, where they grow socially and emotionally, and have access to a relevant and innovative curriculum is truly essential. So I just wanted to take a moment before Mike shares to say thank you for all of your support as well.
To echo some of the things that we've already heard about graduation, I wanted to speak to what I completely agree is the marquee event of the school year for us. One of the things that is a really wonderful tradition is the Distinguished Educator. Each year, students nominate teachers, and the letters that they write are very moving. A number of them are presented then at the final day. All of the Distinguished Educator nominees are presented at the final meeting of the year for the high school, and then the big reveal is graduation day. So this year it was Mark Kuhl, certainly a very distinguished educator with a huge amount of really good company in being recommended for that. It is one of the community's largest gatherings as well. Lake Forest Days and the Lake Bluff 4th of July Parade are probably the only two things that rival it in terms of sheer numbers and participation. 4,500 people gather on the lawn. What I would like to underline is the fact that it is a tremendously complex affair. So this year we had all 7 board members there. Part of what was very satisfying, we had 3 board members who had children graduating. And as we all know, you don't just see your kid walk across the stage, you see all their friends and all the kids that you watch grow up. It's an incredibly satisfying thing to be a participant in and to witness. So we also have a great number of faculty that come, and they form call it a gauntlet or a welcoming line before the kids get to the stage that really sets a great tone, frankly, for when they do get up on the podium. And one of the things that strikes me every single year, every single time, is I cannot believe the composure and the grace of our students. They look you in the eye. They shake your hand, a firm handshake, not a, one of these, soft little, milky handshakes. It's clear. They say thank you. They sure look like they mean it, and I think they do. And it's kid after kid after kid. It's just a testament to the homes that they come from, very frankly. We have every high school administrator there. We have our support staff. It's all hands on deck. And whether that's passing out flowers or directing traffic, there's always a lot of traffic into the building for somebody needing a glass of water, somebody needing to cool off, somebody needing to find a restroom, and what have you. Our school resource officers from both districts are there. We also have a significant presence from the in coordination from the police and the ambulance. Our grounds folks, our maintenance, every single chair had a pool of water in it at about 11 o'clock. Out came the towels, and 4,500 chairs were tipped and wiped off, and it all looked like it was just always that way. It's that way every single time. It's amazing what a great job they do. The technology always works. The live streaming is a big deal. And that live streaming is over the internet, but it's also as part of our backup as well. And even 67 winds up getting involved. They loan us our stage that we use for the backup plan. We have something of a smaller setup in the field house with 1,700 chairs. We also have the competition gym set up just in case. We have the live stream for people around the globe to watch their students. Family members, we issue tickets. There's a great deal of communication that goes out ahead of time. How many people can get into the field house, because we're limited there by the fire marshals, and that's probably the most tense area that we have is if and when we're in the field house, who has to be at the doors to say you can't come in. That is a really tough place for us to have folks, and that's the crowd control. There's a tremendous amount of communication planning well before the day of, and this time it was a game day decision. I think it was about 11:15 that the decision was made, and it was a really good decision. It was a great day. It also gives us what I call the money shot, which is, for my money, the best picture of the year, and that's when all of the mortar boards fly. Every year I have somebody say we shouldn't do this because it's dangerous and so on. It's like, no, we absolutely want to throw the hats in the air. So that is one of our best moments. I think it gives us, as Mr. Marcuson pointed out, it gives us an exclamation point on what's a good year every year and a focal point for the community. One of the things of interest is how many former parents or residents swing through. So I tend to be there early. I get there very early in the morning, worried about everything working properly, and the number of residents that swing through before anybody's really there, sort of onesie, twosie coming through. Ask a couple questions. How many kids are graduating today? I remember when my student graduated. What kind of year did you have, and that sort of thing. So it is a real point of community pride in a variety of ways. And my point is to say thank you to all the staff and our board members, and it is a tremendous team effort to pull that off. So thank you.
Thank you. That's it? Y'all done, Mike? Okay.
Actually, there is one more thing. Jen, I wanted a brief financial update on what our status looks like.
Okay, not fair to follow graduation. It's going to be not nearly as exciting, but we are having a really decent financial year. We did present a year-end projections to the Finance Operations Committee. I believe that was in April. We are on the same trajectory that we were then. If you recall, we are projected with a $2.1 million deficit this year. We have reduced that, and we're expecting to end the year more around $1 million. There's still a lot of things that we receive and pay out in the month of June. It's a heavy payroll month for us, in addition to just all those invoices related to busing and tuition and things that we try to acquire and pay out before June 30th. So things are looking better than they did when we presented the budget last year, primarily in two areas. One, the state revenue, knowing that it arrived on time and they caught up, made a big difference too on our revenue stream. On expenses, we did take a few hits in a few areas that are somewhat outside of our control related to special ed tuition and transportation, but we were able to mitigate those with those positive revenue changes. So look forward to, we will present another view of that year end at the Finance and Ops Committee meeting, which meets June 28th. So we'll talk a little bit about that then, and also we'll talk about what the 18-19 tentative budget looks like as well.
Are there any members of the public who would like to address the board?
My name is Jill Holden. I'm one of the OB-GYNs in town here, and came to the board last fall as the school year was starting just to have a discussion about the pond in our neighborhood. I liked Mr. Markison's comments about small school with a lot of big school support, and that the teachers really dive in and know the students. Your neighbors really dive in and know these students too. We're kind of always on a lookout and keeping an eye on when after graduation, the parking lot's empty, it's dark, except the doors are open to the back of the school. So we make a pass by and make sure there's still somebody in the grounds that are still there putting things away. It's a good neighborhood to have, and they're very supportive, and the pond still looks a mess. Now, Mr. Simic said tomorrow it's going to get fixed again, but these are 3 different dates over the last 3 weeks that underneath the Lupton's bedroom windows, where they've tried for a couple years to sell a house and it won't sell in an area like that. And just want to let you know and hope that we can bring around that singing in harmony and hear other voices, and our voice would like to be solid behind you, but also we would like some support for fixing this. It sounds like they're going to regrade again tomorrow, but it didn't work last year. It didn't work the year. I mean, this is 6 summers so far that I can recall that it has been horrendous. So what we've sort of heard is the planting is now on hold, but we don't know if that's on hold or not. So if somebody could just make a decision, get somebody that knows how to do it, and please do it right. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Our friend, Jeff Folker from the foundation.
Hi. Good to see everybody. As you know, I'm Jeff Folker. I'm chair of the Lake Forest High School Foundation, and I want to thank you all for letting us come again this year to present kind of a year in review of the foundation. This is our 5th year providing this overview, so thank you. Unfortunately, Diana's not here tonight, but I also want to recognize her as our board liaison. She's just done a phenomenal job this year, not only keeping the foundation engaged with what's going on at the board, but also bringing back news of what's going on with the foundation to you all into the community. So thank you to Diana. Also thank you to Sally, who has often sat in on her behalf and has attended all of our functions, so thank you too. So what I'd like to do tonight is just kind of give you a quick review of the year. We had a great year. Some changes that I'll talk about. We have some things coming up hopefully this next year that we're excited about and want to bring you on board of that as well, because we'll definitely ask for your help and support as we move forward. But again, as most people know, we were founded back in 2002 in partnership with District 115 and the Board of Administration and community members. Our mission is to provide the funding necessary for resources to support and enrich the educational experience of all students, faculty, and staff at Lake Forest High School. And we are one of the 2 parent organizations, APT being the other, that does directly impact every student at the high school. Currently, we raise money in 4 different ways. Obviously, there are direct donations that we get from families, friends, alumni, and foundations. We do this at registration, and we do it at various times throughout the year when we do solicit donations directly from the community. We also have created what we call Foundation Month, which is every November. We partner with local businesses to put together a variety of different events to help raise funds in that regard. We do have a fundraising event that we do every year. Historically, it's been a spring luncheon. That's held every April. And we also look for sponsorships and ads for our 2 functions that we coordinate, not only the spring luncheon, but also pitch night. So those are our 4 major revenue streams. This year, we raised just over $171,500, so a very good year. It's a little below what we did last year. We did about $175,000, and it is below our 5-year rolling average, but you'll see that is primarily driven by what we did about 3 years ago, where we raised over $211,000. So that one data point has kind of pushed that average up. But we're in alignment with how we've historically done in the past relative to raising money. So nothing new and exciting, but in a declining enrollment environment, it's nice to see that our numbers are staying consistent. In terms of the donations that we got from family and friends, we raised a little over $83,000. The other thing we check on every year is our participation rate. When we go out and talk to companies and corporations and some donors, one of the questions they will ask us is basically, what level of support do you get from your own community? If you want our support, how well supported are you within the high school? So this is an important number for us and something we really try to focus on. We look at it 2 ways. We look at it in terms of those families that don't opt out during registration to be solicited by us. This year, there were about 1,285 families at Lake Forest High School. Of that, 1,021 did not opt out of getting information from the foundation. So that's about 80%. Of that 1,021, 416 of those families donated in some way, shape, or form to the foundation, which is excellent. So it's a slightly more than 40% participation rate. If you look at all families, it's a little lower, 32, about 32.5. But we take a look at not only money we get from direct donations, but a lot of people use the luncheon as a time to donate to us. So we make sure we take that into consideration as well. So good numbers. That's actually, from an historical perspective, that's one of our better years. In terms of what we did this year at Foundation Month, as I said, it's every November. We did 6 different events this year with different local businesses. We raised a little over $7,000, which is double what we did last year, a little more than double than we did last year. So we had a couple of events that really kind of knocked the socks off. We did a Pies for Education with Levels that brought in over $2,100, which was fantastic. And J. Crew has been extremely supportive of us in the community, and we raised almost $2,500 at that event alone. This year, the Spring Luncheon, which was held just this past April, raised over $55,000 net. That's a net revenue, so it does take into account all of our expenses. But that's looking at ticket sales, donations, auction, silent auction items, and our balloon pop that we did this year. We had over 165 guests, and we tried to make it a little bit more of a celebration this year. In fact, that was our theme, celebrating educational excellence. So we had the Swing Sonatas from the high school play during the reception area, or the reception hour, excuse me. That was very well received. We did a balloon pop that was donated by a sponsor. We raised another $2,200 there. And this year we also decided to have guest speakers to highlight some of the grants that we had provided in the years past. So we had the art department, Carolyn Bielski and Jennifer Thomas, come and talk about some of the things we've done for them and continue to do for the art department. And Joe Pulio and Janelle Freevert talked about the business incubator. Lastly, sponsorships. We raised $25,500 in total sponsorships. $15,000 of that was in alignment with the Spring Luncheon. We had 15 sponsors who donated money and another 5 sponsors who provided an in-kind donation of some sort. For example, the woman who did the balloon pop for us did it in lieu of any cost to us. So she donated all of that materials and time. Same with our centerpieces and some printing. So we did have some very nice sponsors that didn't give us money but saved us a lot of money. I would like to point out that when it comes to the luncheon, we have several sponsors. We've been doing this for about 4 years. We've been soliciting sponsorships, and we've had quite a handful that have been with us for all 4 years. And I really would like to recognize Joe Gordon and Lake Forest Pediatric Dentistry. He has been our presenting sponsor of the luncheon for 4 years at $5,000 every year. So Joe has donated over $20,000 to the high school. So next time your kids are, if they're young enough, going to see Dr. Joe, please thank him for that. Pepper Construction has also been with us, Fitness Together. I've finagled Mike Hernandez and Franzik Redele to also be with us for 4 years. Lion Martini Group, Woodland Foods are some of the others that have been supporters of this event for the last 4 years. In terms of Pitch Night, which is the other event that we go and get sponsorships for, as well as sell ads for our program book, this year we had 10 sponsors, just over $10,000. An additional, we had 1 in-kind sponsor, PostNet, who handled all of our printing. We use this money that we raised at Pitch Night to help cover the commitment that the foundation makes to the winners or to the people who get funded at Pitch Night. So this is a big number and an important number going forward. We've made the decision not to take money out of our donors, from our donors towards this. This will be something that will need to be self-sustaining. So going forward, we'll need to make sure we're getting at least $10,000 every year from sponsorships or program ads in order to make sure the kids are getting the funding that we're committing to them. If we're able to raise $20,000 one year, we may have more funding available for the kids. So the more we can get from our community, the more we can help this class and Pitch Night. One of the other big things we did this year is we changed our marketing. We decided we needed to refresh and kind of update the brand of the foundation. We haven't really changed much in a while, and we felt that people were looking at us in a bit of a narrow view when we went out and talked to people in the community. So we did two things. We've updated our logo. We've taken it from the old front doors look, and we tried to make something that was a bit more collegial with the seal. We kept the doors, obviously, as that's a big part of our identity, but we wanted to make sure that we brought out the Lake Forest High School attribute. You can hardly read it in the first logo, but in the second one it really stands out, and we wanted to make sure we did that. We also changed our tagline from advancing academics for all students to investing in educational excellence, and we did this primarily because in talking with people we found that their assumption was that all we did was support academics, and we are broadening our focus in that regard and trying to get away from just curriculum and technology and talk about learning spaces and experiences and things along those lines. So we felt that this new tagline does a better job of helping people understand that. It also does a nice job, I think, of helping the community understand that this is not just a donation, but an investment. That when they give money to the foundation, it's not just a charitable act, but it's truly an investment in their children. We will be making investments that their children will have the ability to see, feel, touch, and experience. Along with this rebranding, we had quite a few changes in a lot of our materials. We had to create new banners. We had to create new signs for the front of the high school. We had to create a new look for Grant Day. We also gave water bottles, branded water bottles, to our largest donors. We gave out magnets last year that reflected the new look as well. So we did a lot of things to try and, again, refresh and update and recommunicate our new brand into the community. So a lot of work went into that. I thank Beth Clemenson for leading that effort. She did a great job. Okay, now on to our reason for being, which is grants. Since we were founded, we've awarded over $2.1 million in grants across a total of a little bit more than 250 individual grants. There's a list of some of the big ones that are more notable in the community. Obviously, the Business Incubator is a huge one. The Makerspace in the basement that's helped support the robotics team and the club and all that. We were behind a lot of the technology, the 3D printers and the routers and so forth. We've helped implement 21st Century Learning Labs, not just for social studies, but for world language. We helped with the College Counseling Resource Center remodel a few years back. We helped support the Rush Neurobehavioral Executive Functioning workshops that were held for the teachers and the community in 2016 and 2017. And just this past year, we helped with an upgrade of the Student Services Suite, which I think is very important for folks who take advantage of that particular space. So this year, we awarded $125,000 across 15 grants in 9 different curricular areas. And here they are. In Applied Tech, we granted 5 underwater robotics kits, which will not only be used for looking from a science perspective in terms of what goes on under the surface, but interestingly enough, the swim team has asked if they could use it to help kids understand how their strokes look under the water, which I thought was kind of a nice add-on relative to how you can use some of this technology. In art, we continue to support a lot of the work that Carolyn and Jennifer and others come to us with. We are going to do a complete redesign of one of the art classrooms. Carolyn calls it her NASA project. It will have the level of technology that the art department needs, particularly when it comes to things like animation and photography. It'll have tools and equipment that allow them to truly see the level of detail they need to see to do amazing work, and they really do amazing work. We also purchased 12 Dragonware software licenses for stop-motion animation to improve that particular offering. That class continues to grow. In business, we not only support Pitch Night every year with some contribution, but we do grant $5,000 to help that class go through what's called their minimum viable product stage. So as the kids develop their ideas, they are asked to come up with an actual concept, something they can see, touch, feel, So we do provide money to help them do that if they need it. In education technology, we had 2 grants, audiovisual recording kits for kids who want to do podcasts or special projects. They can take those out of the library. And we also did something to help with the TEDx program, which has continued to grow in popularity. We got some equipment that helps folks be able to, do their presentations more effectively, the feedback cameras or the feedback screens and things like that, and also to help them with the online presence for that particular event. In English, along with boosters, we agree we are going to cover the printing costs for the Forest Scout magazine, which again is a very popular and I think a fantastic offering that the high school has relative to helping the journalism kids. So we're excited and happy to do that. We are also at the library providing 30 Nook e-readers. This is kind of a re-gift, if you will. We had provided these 4 or 5 years ago, and basically they're either outdated or they can't be repaired anymore. So the library asked if we would renew that grant, and we said yes. Our biggest grant of the year was in science, $50,000 towards a pilot remodel of 2 science classrooms to bring in essentially movable high-tech furniture. It will allow the teachers in the science class to do a lab in the middle of the room, and then if they need to, move everything away and have more of a lecture space. So it's a really neat furniture that they're bringing in to truly allow them to adapt the classroom to how they want to teach that day, and whether it's a lecture period, a lab period, or both. In social studies, we have 2 grants. The Albert AP software licenses, we're going to pilot those in 4 different AP classes. Essentially, these licenses allow kids to, for lack of a better term, take the AP class, or take the AP test before they take the AP test. So it's a really great way to ensure that they're learning what they need to be learning, they're on track, and that they're properly prepared. If this goes well, I'm sure we'll get a grant request for expanding that. The other interesting thing in social studies is we've agreed to fund 4 100-inch monitors. These things are massive. But what it does is it allows the class to essentially have multiple images on the screen at the same time. So as people are working on projects or trying to share projects or collaborate on projects, they can all have their Chromebooks or their phones or whatever technology they might be using to display all of that on one screen so that the entire classroom can see what everybody else is working on. It's really a neat idea and opportunity. In wellness, we did 3 grants. We had granted these Real Care babies and Real Care pregnancy simulators in the past, but the babies have grown up, and they've left the house, and it's been a mess. So it's time to bring in some new babies. So we've agreed to fund 5 new of the Real Care babies, and these things are amazing. Dr. Hollins talked about how she's seen them in the hallways of kids carrying them. But it's a really neat way to, open kids' eyes and understand what it takes when it comes to being a parent in that regard. So we're happy to do that. We did 3 new treadmills. These get a lot of work before school and after school, both from teachers as well as from students. So we're going to fund 3 new treadmills for the wellness department. And lastly, new handheld equipment for the Mount Scout climbing wall. We have not had any new equipment on that since it was installed. I think I remember when it was installed. It's been years since that's been installed. And I don't know if you ever go and look in the field house, but when someone needs to track a course on Mount Scout, they have to use tape to help figure out, okay, I'm going to go this route. And then someone else is using different colored tape to say, well, I'm going to go this route. And over the course of the year, as their skills improved, there's no way for them to either change that route easily or effectively. They have to then change the tape. They have to go up, get the tape, bring it down, tape a new route. This new handheld equipment will allow them to easily and effectively just take off the handhelds, put them back up in a course that allows them to continue to improve in that area. So these are the grants. It was a great year. We had a great response from the teachers, but we look to continue to grow that in years ahead. Speaking of years ahead, here's what we're looking to do as we move into next year. Obviously, we want to continue to grow our donor levels in terms of both dollars and participation. Obviously, in a declining enrollment environment, that's tricky, but we think we can. We've updated our marketing, we're updating our communications, we're putting together PR plans. We have some incentives that you'll see as you go to online registration, so hopefully that'll drive some additional participation. Continue to grow Foundation Month. We are going to take a look at our fundraising event. For the last 8 years, we've done a spring luncheon. As we have found more and more organizations in the community do a spring fundraising event, it's getting to be a very crowded space. So we are asking our co-chairs of their events committee this year to take some time over the summer and brainstorm ideas. The type of event we want to have, who we want to have in attendance. Spring luncheons are great. Luncheons are great. You tend to only get one half of a family at those things. So the question is, are there opportunities to bring in more investors, more donors with another type of an event? So we're going to take a look at that. We need to continue to work with the high school on clarifying pitch night and the business accelerator objective, which is the second-year class, to make sure that we're in alignment with what they want to do in terms of making sure the right kids are getting to the second-year class and are being properly funded. Along those same lines, we are looking to try and find 1 or 2 or 3 corporate partners that might want to make a longer-term investment in pitch night and in the business incubator, in the sense that perhaps we could find someone who would say, for 3 or 4 or 5 years, we'll cover the $10,000 funding minimum, and as a result, they'll have people engaged as mentors and coaches. They'll have people sitting on the board of directors at pitch night. This year, we instituted what's called the Foundation Cup, which goes to the team that had the most viable business concept. We'd be happy to change that name to the Turlotto Wines Cup, for example. Be happy to do that, absolutely. The Illinois Bone and Joint Cup would be another excellent sponsor. The SC Johnson Cup. There's all kinds of cups that we would be happy to find a corporate partner who would be willing to make an investment, not in the foundation, but obviously in the kids. Last but not least, we want to continue to try and improve student and staff awareness. I wasn't at graduation, nor did I watch it on the live stream, but I had several people tell me that one of the students in their speech did a wonderful job of thanking the APT, the boosters, and applause. And that's wonderful. But they didn't thank the foundation. So clearly, students don't really understand the impact the foundation is having on their education. And we need to change that. We need to change that with the staff as well, to make sure that the staff, when they have that opportunity to recognize the foundation and to thank the foundation in front of parents, in front of students, are doing that. We are looking to reintroduce a student-initiated grant this year that we would ask students to make grant proposals. Hopefully we would be able to fund it and then award that during awards night at the end of the year. We've had people in the community ask us if we could in some way, shape, or form honor Mindy Bourne, who was a longtime member of the foundation and one of our past presidents who unfortunately passed away last year. So we are looking to somehow connect those two things together and include Mindy's name on some sort of a student-initiated grant. So how can you guys help us? Well, continue to be a cheerleader in the community and in the school. Dr. Holland does a wonderful job in that regard, and we certainly appreciate all your kind words and all the opportunities to let people know what we do. But obviously, as ambassadors in the community for the district, we would love it for you all to do that as well. We have, as you saw from the presentation, we raised $171,000 and we awarded $125,000. That gives us $45,000 that's basically sitting there waiting to be utilized. That's not the first time this has happened. We have some money available to us, similar to what the Spirit did in District 67, that we would like your help in figuring out a really big idea that we can support. I know it's been talked about. I know you guys have had some level of discussions, but we're ready. We're ready to do something really juicy. Business incubator too, I don't know what you want to call it, but something that really has an impact on the kids, on the community, and the reputation of the high school. Last but not least, the engagement has been wonderful. As I said, Diana and Sally have been great this year, and we certainly hope we can maintain that level of involvement in the years to come. That's it. Anyone have any questions?
Questions for Jeff? I just want you to know, Jeff, that student didn't thank the board either, and we've withheld their diploma.
Yes. All right, fair enough.
She meant to thank the foundation, though.
I'm sure she
Or
did.
he.
I don't. Great. Thank you guys very much.
Anything. Thank you, Jeff, for everything you do.
Yeah.
You do what you do.
And to say thank you for, my gosh, all the effort of you and the rest of the foundation members. It's really selfless and extremely appreciated, so
Thank you.
thank you
We
so
have
much.
people that do a lot of work, put in a lot of hours, a lot of energy. So I thank you for that, and they'll be very appreciative. Great. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Jeff. Up are our committee reports. Lise, Education Committee.
So we don't meet again until the fall, but I did announce last time that we'll have an opening for another community member on the Education Committee. So I'll just tell you what our mission is, which is we provide oversight to major district educational initiatives, new programs, and make recommendations to the board on major topics related to curriculum and instruction. We provide guidance to management on the accomplishment of educational strategic initiatives and improvement of student outcomes. It's really a chance to hear from the different educators, both in each of the academic departments as well as in the important support services. And we've had a very diverse committee, so we're looking for another community member. Could be a parent, but we also have people who are former parents or non-parents. Anybody in the district is welcome to apply. I believe that the information about applying is already on the website. Oh, it'll be up tomorrow. And, but because of summer recess, we won't review the applications until September. So you have all summer. September 1st is the deadline for that, and our first meeting is not until October 2nd.
Thank you. David, Finance and Ops?
Thanks, Reese. We did not meet. As Jen said, our next meeting will be on June 28th.
Thank you. Ted, is there anything to report from the Policy Committee?
No, there are a couple policy issues on tonight's agenda.
Okay. You want to dive right into NSSCD?
NSSCD has not met since we last met.
Okay.
The next meeting will be this Wednesday. I'll be out of town, so if anybody wants to go in my place, I'll give you the information.
Thank you. You've never asked us before, so thanks for opening it up to us. Sally, EdRed, anything to report?
Very briefly, right before they wrapped up spring session, the Illinois General Assembly actually came to a bipartisan agreement and passed a budget, along with the enabling legislation. The $350 million that had been added for evidence-based funding now actually is covered in the upcoming budget. We know we will get a very small piece of that, but it's good news across the board for education in Illinois. The other thing of interest is that the state legislature took 3 different actions that are technical in relation to pension controls, and we will start to see the effects of those in our own budgeting and forecasting. And so it would be an awesome topic to come to the upcoming Finance and Ops Committee meeting to see how the state legislature is starting to nip away at the edges of pension funding.
Thank you. Next is the action items section of our meeting. First up is adoption of a resolution for the transfer of interest earnings. Jen, you want to give us a little background on that?
Sure can. So what we're asking for today is the board to transfer any of the earned interest earnings from the educational fund to the transportation fund. The board does have the ability by school code to transfer to any fund in need. The fund balance in our transportation fund has run low. The last few years, we've had increased transportation costs, both in our regular ed transportation costs and also additionally in our special ed costs. So while we still are cash positive, it does maintain a negative fund balance as of June 30th. So what I'd like to do is just shore that up before the end of the year. The resolution does not include the amount because we do actually continue to accrue interest through the end of the month, but approximately $372,000 would be the amount of that transfer. Going forward, we will address the imbalance in the transportation fund revenues over expenditures by just reallocating the property taxes more to that fund than some of the others.
Thank you. May I have a motion to adopt the resolution for transfer of interest earnings?
I move that the Lake Forest Community High School District 115 Board of Education adopt the resolution for transfer of interest earnings.
Second?
Second.
Any comments, questions? May I have a roll call, please?
Mr. Lane?
Aye.
Dr. Nemekis?
Aye.
Mr. Markuson?
Aye.
Mr. Mormon?
Aye.
Ms. Davis?
Aye.
Dr. Elliott?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Next up is approval of tuition-based transition students. Jen, do you mind explaining this? Or somebody?
I think either Shayla or I could probably answer the question depending on the question, but basically in our transition program, which is the program that we house here in our building, and they're out in our community quite a bit as well, if we have room in that program, we do accept tuition-based students on a very limited basis from Deerfield, Highland Park 113. They pay tuition for that program. Since it is different than our policy, the board actually approves those on an annual basis.
Thank you. May I have a motion to approve the tuition-based transition students?
Okay, I move that the Lake Forest Community High School District 115 Board of Education approve the tuition-based transition students.
Second?
Second.
Any questions? Comments? Roll call, please.
Mr. Markison?
Aye.
Dr. Elliott?
Aye.
Ms. Davis?
Aye.
Mr. Mormon?
Aye.
Dr. Nemekis?
Aye.
Mr. Lane?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thanks. Next up is approval of the second reading of our policy. May I have a motion to approve the second reading of Press Issue 97, including 2:260 Uniform Grievance Procedure, 4:40 Incurring Debt, 5:20 Workplace Harassment Prohibited, 5:200 Conditions of Employment and Dismissal.
I move that the Lake Forest Community High School District 115 Board of Education approve the second reading of Press Issue 97, including 2:260 Uniform Grievance Procedure, 4:40 Incurring Debt, 5:20 Workplace Harassment Prohibited, 5:200 Conditions of Employment and Dismissal.
Thank you. May I have a second?
Second?
We all saw this last month, so are there any other questions that came up over the month? No? May I have a roll call, please?
Ms. Davis?
Aye.
Mr. Mormon?
Aye.
Mr. Lane?
Aye.
Dr. Elliott?
Aye.
Mr. Markison?
Aye.
Dr. Nemekis?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Next up is our Human Resources Report, a little more voluminous than other months just because of the end of the school year, beginning of next school year, and summer. So may I have a motion to approve the Human Resources Report as presented?
I move that the Lake Forest Community High School District 115 Board of Education approve Human Resources Report as presented.
Second?
Second.
Any questions, comments on anything on the report? May I have a roll call, please?
Dr. Elliott?
Aye.
Mr. Markison?
Aye.
Dr. Nemekis?
Aye.
Mr. Mormon?
Aye.
Ms. Davis?
Aye.
Mr. Lane?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Next up are the consent agenda items. I'll remind everybody that any item may be removed from the consent agenda at the request of a board member. May I have a motion to approve the consent agenda items, including approval of disbursements, payrolls, and financial statements for April 2018, approval of CLIC workers' comp contract renewal in the amount of $119,751, approval of CLIC liability insurance contract renewal in the amount of $94,060, adoption of the prevailing wage resolution, approval of designation of our bank depositories, approval of budget transfers, minutes of a regular meeting and workshop from May 14th, 2018, minutes of an executive session of the same date, disposal of audio recordings from June 22, 2016, and evaluation committee meeting May 19, 2016. May I have a motion?
I move that the Lake Forest Community High School District 115 Board of Education approve the consent agenda items as presented.
May I have a second?
Second.
Lots of stuff on there. Any questions, comments? Good. Okay. May I have a roll call, please?
Mr. Mormon?
Aye.
Dr. Elliott?
Aye.
Ms. Davis?
Aye.
Dr. Nemekis?
Aye.
Mr. Lane?
Aye.
Mr. Markison?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. We had 2 FOIA requests this month, one from Janice Schnobrick, a resident. That status is complete. One from Ballot Ready, a research group. That status is also complete. Because it's the end of the school year, nothing to report about students or student events or activities. So the only announcement we have is that next July 9th, Monday, right here, same place, same time will be our next Board of Education meeting at 7 p.m. So may I have a motion to adjourn the Lake Forest Community High School Board meeting?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned. Thank you.